Hi everyone. So since we are not meeting on Zoom today, I am going to give you a quick overview of what to do today during class. So we are starting week 3, which means we need to be planning our summary and response essay. Remember that you've already written your summaries, you've already learned about summary and also about responding. So today you're going to put some things into practice and learn some more about those things. So first we have some resources here for your use. So you'll see these things featured in my recorded lectures. So I wanted you to also have access to those different things. So just know that those are there. I also wanted to do a quick recap of where you should be so far. So everybody should have read, annotated, and summarized these two readings. The first one is Me Talk Pretty One Day by David Sedaris. The other one is Shitty First Drafts by Anne Lamott. So everyone should already have been working with those summaries and revising them and updating them. That should be pretty familiar by now. You also should have looked at our essay packet by now. You can access that by clicking here. And you should have chosen a life event that you want to focus on in the essay. So remember that the first part of your essay is those paragraph summaries of Me Talk Pretty One Day and Shitty First Drafts. The rest of the essay is all about a life event that you are choosing to talk about in the essay. There are some important guidelines for choosing a life event to talk about, so make sure that you look at the essay packet and watch that lecture if you haven't yet. By this point, everyone also should have made a tutoring appointment. So when you are going to tutoring, make sure that you have a plan for what you would like to work on before you get there. So you need to schedule your tutoring first, or if you're doing a walk-in, that's okay. And then have your stuff ready to go when you get to the tutor. So in this case, I would bring things like my essay packet, maybe the summaries that I have. I would at least have like some notes or some ideas about what I want to focus on for this life event portion of the essay. And that way, when I go to my tutoring appointment, I can work with the tutor and maximize my time to get as much done as I can in terms of starting to plan for this essay. Once you kind of get there and are prepared, then you're going to work with your tutor, and you also need to complete a tutoring verification form, or if the tutor that you see provides some other kind of verification, that's fine. You just need to have either our tutoring verification form or theirs to demonstrate that you did in fact go to tutoring. Fill out that verification form or use the one they provide, and then turn in both the form and your tutoring reflection to Canvas. So if we head over to Canvas, I'm going to click over there, you'll see that a tutoring reflection is due on Friday the 6th. So you can click there for detailed directions about what to turn in, but this is what you're turning in after you have seen a tutor. So just keep that in mind. All right, back over to today's slides. So that's ideally where we should be. If you're behind a little bit, make sure that you're working to catch up in terms of getting started on the essay. So with that in mind, you've got some lectures that I would like you to watch today. So make sure that you're taking some notes as you do that. You'll need to watch this one first. It has a built-in quiz. It's going to ask you which class you're in, so just write English 10, and then you'll be able to watch the lecture. It will stop at certain points and ask you questions. You've got to answer those questions and then move on throughout the rest of the lecture. So you do have 2 different lectures to get through today. I've also got recorded lectures about building paragraphs for the essay and planning the essay. So make sure that you get through all of those lectures so that you are ready for planning the essay and getting started. You've also got some group work to do today. Remember, you do not need to be in the same room with your group or anything like that. You can all collaborate on your group slides during class time without being in the same space. So you can talk with one another, like in your group chat for some of these, and other ones it'll ask you to answer those questions on your group slides. So let's look at the group slides. I gave you group roles for today, but if you and your group are already, in a good space and you don't need those group roles, that's okay too. So what you need to do is just contribute to your group slides today during class time. You do not need to turn in a link to today's group work on Canvas. I know that you have a lot of lectures to get through, so I want you to do your best to get this group work done, but it's not the top priority. Making sure that you take good notes on these lectures is the top priority. And then go head to your group editable slides, ideally during class time, and contribute some things there to practice what you learned in the lectures. But don't take too much time on this and you're not turning it in on Canvas. I will look and see who participated for attendance purposes, but if you don't finish it all, that's okay. So let's use the 8 a.m. class for an example. Remember, you're going to go by whichever class you're in. So click on your class time. That's going to take you over to your group slides. There's directions here. They're the same as the ones that were over on our other slides. And you can see that each group has their own slide. So you should write your name here. Remember, first name, last initial, and then change your color to, something that makes sense for you, whatever color you are feeling. After that, then just make sure that you're contributing where you can to your group slide. Again, collaborate as much as possible, but I know there's a lot of recorded lectures for today. So if you can't finish all of it, that's okay. You're not turning this in, but I am using it for attendance purposes. So it'll ask you some questions here about what are we doing to get started on our intros? What's something we're feeling good about? What do we need help with? So those are just basic questions to answer. And then I have some practice with revising things that I would like you to do. So you'll notice in this table, all of these ones up here are problematic in some way. So they might be missing a subject or a verb, or they are not very descriptive, whatever it might be. So you're going to take whichever one is kind of problematic. These are just example sentences. And then you will revise that and say, in whatever way makes sense for you, make this a little bit better. There's no one right answer here, so just do your best. And then there are some other questions here about how you can support each other in terms of getting to our essay drafts, which are due pretty soon. So do your best on the group work. If you're not able to get to all of it, that's okay. All right, reminders for Tuesday. So make sure that you complete your Canvas assignments that are due Wednesday. Remember, we do not have Zoom class on Thursday. You should use class time on Thursday to meet with a tutor and work on your essay. So rather than having you do separate group work or anything like that, on Thursday, I just want you to spend time getting started on that essay draft or finishing up the essay draft. Make sure you're completing your Canvas assignments, which are due by Friday. Remember that your essay drafts are due Monday, February 9th by 11:59 p.m. And then we have conferences. So I will go over conferences in my next kind of how-to little video for you all. But know that that week where we are working on essay drafts, you're going to be attending conferences. Got some notes here for new students. If you've added the class late, make sure that you are reviewing these things so that you can get caught up. And that is it for Tuesday's class. So get into those lectures. Let me know if you have questions, and I look forward to seeing everybody for your conferences, which you'll learn a little bit more about next.